Lonnie B.
Yes, sir.
We fresh off the undisputed light heavyweight championship of the world.
Right.
You called it. Beterbiev came out on top.
Right.
How you feel about the fight?
Listen, it was a good fight. Bivol surprised me. I didn't think he better take them shots. You know, being the fact that Artur knocked out guys bigger than him and seeing his past fights being hurt by Joe Smith. And don't get me wrong, anybody can be hurt. But dude, I'm just thinking like, man, Artur, way better, way bigger, punch way harder. You know, it was a good fight. Bivol, I never said he wasn't a good fighter. I just said Artur was going to win. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them fights, people saying Bivol got robbed. He didn't get robbed. It was one of those fights that depending on what you was looking for, you can't win a fight trying to flurry the last 30 seconds of a round and fight in spurts. Bivol fought in spurts, but you got to stay consistent. It's 3 minutes in a round for a reason. Artur was pressing the fight, you know, throwing punches. Granted, you know, he wasn't landing clean, but Bivol wasn't either. The shots that he was throwing, he wasn't landing clean. And I think the last 4 rounds won Artur the fight. Like, he was pressing. It's a one round. Them rounds, Bivol wasn't doing nothing. He was just moving. Everybody saying he lost the fight because he was swinging and he was missing, but he was throwing a lot. He was throwing a lot. Hitting on the glove, hitting on the arms, hitting in the body. And Bivol would just cover up and come out and throw 1, 2, 3 punches. You know what I'm saying? You got to fight 3 minutes of a round. You can't fight in spurts, land 2 clean shots, and then they saying, oh, and think you won. But it was a good fight. It was one of those fights where, depending on what you was looking for, it could have went either way. If you're looking for slickness and ring generalship, if that's what you want to call it, you would have to lean towards Bivol. But if you're looking for aggression and who wanted it more and who was just throwing more, like I'm gonna want to keep pressure on, I'm gonna keep the pace up, you gotta give it to Artur. It was one of them kind of fights where it could have went either way. But a robbery, no.
Were you surprised that Beterbiev didn't get the knockout?
Yes, I was very surprised. I'm not gonna lie, I was very surprised.
Why you think the knockout didn't come?
That's a good question, man. I think Bivol feet. Bivol never let him set to get too many shots off. And then Bivol did a real good job of crowding where Artur was getting hard shots off after Artur kind of had to step back to try to, you know what I'm saying? He was, you know what I'm saying? That probably had something to do with it too. And then he would move all the way back and Artur got to, you know what I'm saying? So Bivol came in tip-top shape. I think it was a great fight. I think we need to see a rematch though. I think a rematch. The fans, I think we deserve a rematch. But one of those fights where if they'd have gave it to Bivol, nobody could say nothing. It was one of them kind of fights. You know what I'm saying? Great fight, man. Great fight. I would love to see a rematch though.
In a rematch, what do you think is different?
And I'm not making excuses for Artur, but he did just have surgery. You know, I think that played a part. Thinking a rematch, I think they both gonna come with the A game, and I think it will be the fight that we all expected this one to be.
You think his age, Beterbiev, do you think his age is starting to play a factor? You think this could have been his last hurrah, or you think he still got a lot left in the tank?
He's accomplished enough, undisputed. 21-0, 20 knockouts. I think he can hang him up. I think he can. I think he's done enough to solidify his name in the boxing game of this era. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think he can hang him up.
Do you see Beterbiev as a pound for pound? You can put him in your top 10, top 5.
Absolutely. How could you not? How could you not? You got the undisputed light heavyweight champ since Roy Jones. How could you not put him up in the top 5? Like, you gotta put him up in the top 5, and he's knocked out everybody except Bivol. He's knocked out everybody, so yeah, you gotta put him in the top 5. And he showed he can box. He showed he's not just a puncher. He showed he can box. Bivol was boxing good too. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like Bivol didn't hurt him enough. Bivol hit him with some clean shots. But I think why they gave Artur the fight because Bivol didn't hurt him. He was landing some good shots, but it was only one. Right hand. Then he'll move. Couple jabs. Another right hand. Then a combination. Move. Artur was throwing, even though he had a hard time landing because of his feet, but he still was throwing. And Artur had hurt Bivol a few times in the fight. So, you know, I don't think Bivol got robbed. I think but I think the scores was crazy though. That 116-112 was ridiculous. Like that was literally insane. I don't know what they was watching because it was definitely way closer than that.
Do you think in a rematch, do you think the rematch could end in a knockout, or you
Yes.
think it goes to the
Yes,
decision again?
I think the rematch can end in a knockout. Yes. And you can see when Artur hit Bivol, you can see his body language change. Like he would go to covering up, and then moving. He got enough experience, so he know how to survive. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what won Artur the fight, that he was trying to survive. Now, if he had Artur hurt or wobbly at some point and fought a little more, I think he would have clearly won. I think he would have clearly beat Artur. Clearly.
It was times in the fight where I felt like Bivol was like taking the round off, even as early as the 5th round.
Right.
I felt like Bivol was taking rounds off.
Right.
Do you attribute that to Beterbiev's power?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the pressure that was coming to it? But I had Bivol up at that point. I had him up at that point, and I felt like that caused Artur to get more confident and gain momentum in the fight. Do you feel like in a rematch that will carry on into the rematch, Beterbiev knowing like I hit way harder than him and he can't take my power?
Yes, and I think Bivol know it to some point, because he like, listen, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't try to like fight it. I think he fought to say, I didn't get knocked out. I went the distance with Artur and I didn't get knocked out. I mean, that's the way I feel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, you got to try to stay in there and you got to try to get the man out of there at some point. You know what I'm saying? At some point. But listen, man, hats off to Bivol. He did an amazing job with the feet, moving around the ring. He did an amazing job, but you just got to fight a little more. You know what I mean? You can't win a fight of this caliber landing a couple shots here and there, moving, holding 2 flurries in a round. And mind you, the flurries wasn't even landing. Out of the flurry, he probably landed 1, maybe 2 shots. And Artur was coming right back and then put the pressure on him, have him on the ropes. And granted, he wasn't landing clean shots, but he was just beating on him. It looks good. He was just beating on him. And Bivol's body language was like, oh, don't punch back. Move, and try to sneak something in. So, you know, depending on what you're looking at, but I think it was a fair decision. I just think the scores was a little absurd.
What did you score the fight? How did you score?
I had it close. I had it 115, 113 Artur.
Okay.
I had it close. Like, one thing about me, I don't judge boxing off emotion. I judge it off the truth. You know what I'm saying? It was a close fight, man. If Bivol would have stood there a little more, Bivol would have clearly won. If he would have, you know, let his hands go just a little more and like buzz Artur a little bit and try to knock him out, I think he would have clearly won.
Now, Bivol, it seemed like, because you say that, it seemed like Bivol didn't have the power that it took to hurt Beterbiev.
That's what I've been saying. He couldn't hurt Canelo. He was hitting. He hit Artur with a couple clean right hands that should have did some damage. Artur just like, okay, and like he didn't even get hit.
And I don't recall. I've only watched the fight once. I watched it live, but I don't recall Artur landing like that clean overhand right or that clean uppercut or any of those clean shots. It was more like he overwhelmed Bivol with his punch.
But if you look at when he did hit him, like you say, he didn't land, but look how he knocked him back.
Yeah.
And Bivol wasn't coming back right away. He'll move for like a minute. Like one round, I don't think he threw a punch for a minute. It was like the last, like Bivol threw a flurry, caught him with one right hand, and Artur came back. Artur came back the rest of that round. Just came back, and Bivol just didn't do enough, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It was like the matador and the bull. He doop. Okay, I survived that round. Doop. Oh, I hit him that round. Like it stays saying, I'm gonna try to put a 10-piece on him. Okay, then land, come right back. And if he kept Artur more on the defense and had him on the ropes a little bit more, I think he would have clearly won.
So in the rematch, you feel like Beterbiev wins possibly by knockout. Do you see a way where Bivol could win a rematch and we could see a trilogy?
Yeah. Yes. Bivol is a very good fighter. Yeah, I can see, you know, a rematch and Bivol doing a little more confidence, probably a little. He like, oh, I can take his punch if I just tweak this and tweak that. You know what I'm saying? But then he got to deal with Artur with his warrior mindset too. Like, oh nah, I'm gonna show him I'm like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of them fights where I think we need to see a rematch. I think we need to see a rematch. Everybody saying, oh, Artur, I don't think Artur lost. But since people are saying, you got half people saying Artur won, you got half people saying Artur lost, that calls for a rematch.
Thank you, champ. Appreciate you, sir.
No, thank you.